And good morning, everyone. Nick Bradshaw here, and I'm filling in for you with your time saver traffic. All right, here's what you need to know if you're just waking up. The roads out there are still slick. It's spotty, though, so that's good news. Things out there on the side streets especially, still very slushy. The main freeways are pretty much clear, but there's slush right outside the tire lane, so be aware of that. And then I want to show you some video that just got into our newsroom overnight. This is kind of an indicative of where it's still bad out. This is the Gleason on-ramp to I-84. There were semi-trucks that got stuck on these icy roads. Crews went out there, put some de-icer down. In the last hour, the on-ramp did reopen. But again, this is kind of indicative of what's going on out there. It's icy in some spots, clear in others. So you're definitely going to want to give yourself extra time to get it to work this morning. Thank you, Joe. And just a little update on your traffic situation. Things are definitely still slick out there. I want to give you a look right now at our time saver traffic map. Barnes Road out there is an absolute mess, so be aware of that. Be careful. There's cars stuck on the side of the road. We're going to give you a little view of that in a little bit coming up here, and I'll give you a kind of a look at some of our ODOT cameras, just kind of give you an idea of how it looks out there. Overpasses, still slushy, still slick, so it takes a little bit more time to brake. This is a Halsey overpass over I-84, and as you can see, this is 26 coming in. This is kind of how it looks like on the freeway. It's pretty clear, but there's plenty of slush off to the side, so that's still slowing things down. And then Taylor's Ferry Road, Barnes, this is Barber coming in. It's pretty clear, but again, there's slushy spots kind of in the middle of the road, so if you're changing lanes, be aware, and that's kind of how it is everywhere. It's hit or miss, but you know, definitely still slick out there, so be careful. And good morning, everyone. Nick Bradshaw here. I got your time saver traffic this morning, and there's plenty going on out there. I want to give you a live look at our time saver traffic map. Things are moving along, and the good news is there aren't any major incidents out there. I just did a round robin check with all of our dispatch centers from Salem up into Clark County, and really the only real trouble spot is the Kamishwa-Shugal area. Lots of slick spots out there, dispatchers tell me, but otherwise people are kind of heeding our advice and keeping it easy out there. I'll give you a live look at some of our traffic cams out there. If you're headed over from Vancouver, I-5 over the interstate bridge, nice and smooth, and this is kind of how it is this morning. If you're headed in, I would suggest taking the major freeways and kind of skipping the side streets to get around things, because the freeways are the ones that are clear. This is a look at I-205 coming over the bridge, also clear, and then 217 at Highway 26. You can see lots of snow still left on the roads, but the freeways are clear. Thank you, Joe. Nick Bradshaw here with your time saver traffic. It's 5:01, and if you're just waking up, here's what you need to know. The freeways are, for the most part, looking pretty clear out there. Side streets are definitely still slick. We've got Mike Warner, who's been driving around all morning, our man on the street, showing us exactly what's going down. Mike, where's been the worst out there?
Right. I'm heading up West Burnside is where I'm going right now. West Burnside and Barnes Road, you got a number of abandoned cars. It's very, very, very icy on Barnes Road, just north of St. Vincent Hospital. If you can avoid that road at all, you definitely should. There's still a lot of ice there. It's very treacherous. I'm going to show that to you shortly, Nick, but stay away from that area.
All right, thank you, Mike. And as far as the major freeways, we have one incident that's on I-205 northbound, right at the airport way. Lots of people headed out there. We're going to tell you more about that in a minute. But elsewhere across the metro area, things are looking good for the most part. So I would stick to the main roads this morning. Give yourself extra time, but it is slick out there. All right, good morning, everybody. Nick Bradshaw here with the time saver traffic, but I got a little bit of breaking news that just came into our newsroom. Portland Public Schools just announced classes are canceled today, so no school for PPS once again today. Portland Public Schools canceled. We'll have more on that, and we'll keep you updated, but right now I want to give you a look at some of our traffic. We've got Mike Warner, who is up on the West Hills, kind of looking at the extreme version of how things are still looking out there. Mike, where are you?
This is Southwest Barnes. I'm north of St. Vincent. You see this tree that had fallen, and people have cut a path through it, but this road is extremely icy, and just about a mile ahead of where I am right now, there's about 11 abandoned cars because it's extremely icy. I shot some video of it earlier, and then just getting out there walking on the sidewalk, you're falling down. It's ice everywhere. This is a very treacherous spot. I would highly recommend staying away from Barnes, West Burnside, this area. It's just nothing but ice right now, Nick.
All right, thank you, Mike. And that's kind of the story everywhere. I want to give you a live look right now at one of our traffic cams. This is I-205 northbound to Airport Way. You can see icicles still on the camera out there. There's been a wreck there. A tow truck is out there on the way. Things are getting cleared up, but real slick out there, so be careful, folks. All right, thank you, Joe. Good morning, everyone. Nick Bradshaw here. I'm filling in with your time saver traffic. Here's the bottom line. If you're getting up and headed out to work this morning, you're going to have more trouble getting to the freeways than you are actually on the freeways. I'll give you a look at what I'm talking about here. Kind of a stark contrast. This is 82nd passing over I-84, and as you can see, it's still real slick, ice on the roads, and that's kind of the situation. Those overpasses, those bridges, real slick. But then if you look At I-5 on Terwilliger, it's really just wet pavement. So once you get on the freeways, it's pretty smooth sailing, but again, getting to the freeways, real slick, so be careful. And good morning, everyone. Things are pretty clear for the most part on the major freeways, so that's really good news. Still slick out there. This is a look at I-205 northbound at Airport Way. There's a wreck, but they're getting it cleared up pretty soon. And as you can see right down the middle of that picture, that's an icicle. So there's definitely still ice out on the roads where there's not major traffic. So keep careful on the side streets. And good morning, Nick Bradshaw, everyone. I've got your time saver traffic, and here's the good news. If you are hitting the road and going to school or work this morning, it's pretty clear out there. Most people are staying home. The side streets are still really icy, but as you can see, the main arteries here, not so bad. And then I want to give you a look at what some of our streets look like. This is 99, or excuse me, Barber headed over Hamilton, and as you can see, there's still some slick spots in the middle of outside the tire lanes, but for the most part, pretty clear. And then if we take a look at I-84, this is the Halsey overpass, and lots of ice still on those bridges, on those overpasses, but the freeways are for the most part clear. All right, thank you, Joe. Nick Bradshaw here with a look at your time saver traffic like we've been telling you all morning. The main freeways are pretty clear. Side streets are definitely still slick. Let's take a live look with Mike Warner, who's been driving around out there so you don't have to. Mike, you up in the West Hills up there?
Yeah, still up on Southwest Barnes, and we got some kind of situation now. I told you it was really, really icy, and now coming back north on Barnes, north from the hospital, there's some kind of situation up here. There was trees down, and their bus was trying to get through, a city bus, and now there's a truck stuck on the hill. This is just a really treacherous road. If you can avoid Barnes, West Burnside, any of these hills up on the west side that have steep hills, don't come up here. It's icy, and you don't want to get stuck up here.
Well, thank you, Mike. I advise you to listen to him. And it's 5:53. I'm Nick Bradshaw. I've been keeping you updated all morning with your time saver traffic. Now, the freeways out there are looking clear, so that is the good news. The side streets are a mess, and we got Mike Warner, who's been up on Barnes Road, which has been a particularly messy spot. Mike, what do you learn from these all flashing lights we're looking at here?
Portland police have closed Barnes Road. This is just south of Miller. They've closed Barnes all the way up to Skyline. There's a power line down right here and right in front of me where you see those red flares. I watched this transformer explode about an hour and a half ago, and it brought down a tree, which also brought down these lines. So there's power lines down. It's very, very icy between here and Skyline. You don't want to be on this road anyway, and now it's closed. So just a heads up, you cannot come this way right now.
All right, thank you, Mike. Be careful out there. And again, folks, freeways are clear, but it's going to be really tricky getting to the freeway, so if you are going to work this morning, extra careful, all right? That's right, Joe. Nick Bradshaw here. I got your time saver traffic. If you're just waking up with us, here's the story. The freeways are mostly just wet pavement. The slush has been melted off from the steady stream of traffic, so you're good there, but the side streets are a whole different story. I want to take you to a live look right now at some of our traffic cameras. This is 26 over Sylvan, and this is usually one of our trickiest spots when things get bad, but the freeway itself, not bad, but you can see that overpass real slick, so be careful out there. Coming in from Vancouver, no problems whatsoever, and then over on Powell Boulevard off 205, you can see that the road is clear, but that ice right there still on all the trees, all the side streets, so it's real slick getting to the freeways this morning, but otherwise you're looking pretty good. All right, thank you, Joe. Nick Bradshaw here with your time saver traffic. I'll give you the good news first, folks. The freeways, for the most part, are pretty clear and just wet pavement. Most of the slush is melted on there, but the bad news is the side streets are still a complete mess. Mike Warner's been driving around all morning. He's got flashing lights up on Barnes Road. Mike, what have you learned up there? What's going on?
Barnes is closed between just south of Miller and up to Burnside Road because it's icy, and there's power lines down right in front of me. There's a transformer that exploded about 2 hours ago. It brought down a tree and some power lines, so you're not going to be able to get through Barnes up to Burnside from Miller. Go a different way, and you don't want to come up here anyway. It's very icy. There's a lot of abandoned cars, a couple of trees down. Just nasty up here. Stay away from this area.
All right,
I'll try to get some more info, and I'll let you know when it opens up.
Thank you, Mike. Good advice. Remember, those side streets, they don't get plowed necessarily. They don't get gravel on there, so be careful out there, folks. All right, folks, slow and steady. That is the phrase that we're going to use for the traffic this morning. Let's take a look at our time saver traffic map here. Things are moving along on the major freeways. People are going slow. There are no major incidents, no closures, so that is good news. But the side streets still a pretty big mess. I want to give you a look at what we're looking at right now on 26 as you come over Sylvan, usually a pretty tricky spot. But as you can see, people are taking it easy, moving slow. Things are moving along nicely. And then coming over the Interstate Bridge from Vancouver, no problems whatsoever. So once you get on the freeway, you're pretty good. Just be careful getting there. And good morning, Nick Bradshaw here with a look at your time saver traffic. We've been following Mike around all morning as he's been driving out on the side streets where it's a little bit treacherous. But now we got you, Mike, on the freeway. How's it looking on there?
The freeway looks good, but let me just alert you to something. You're driving along 55 miles an hour because the freeways are pretty good, and then you go across a bridge and you're going to hit ice and slush that hasn't melted. Those bridges and overpass still have issues, and then you get off the freeway, those back roads still have ice. So just take it real slow and be careful. Those icy patches can really get you. Slow down out there.
All right, thank you, Mike. And I'll give you a look at what he was talking about. Let's take a look at some of our traffic cameras here. This is a Foster and Holgate, and as you can see, there's still slush and some snow accumulation on the road there. And then in town over the Morrison Bridge, still a little bit icy, and as you can see, those sidewalks are still covered in ice and slush. So if you're riding your bike or if you're walking, you need to be careful as well. So one final look here, Murray out on Highway 26. The road is clear, but lots of slush on the side there, so be careful out there. That's good news. And as far as traffic goes this morning, things are picking up on the freeways out there, but it's really all not that bad if you're on the freeways. Let's give a look at our time saver traffic map. As you can see, coming in on I-84, things are kind of slowing down, but really people are kind of listening to us this morning, which is good, and taking their time, so no major jams. I'll give you a look at what it looks like. Some of our typical trouble spots, I-5 coming over the interstate bridge, things are moving along nicely. There's lots of little wrecks out there. They are on the on-ramps, they're on the off-ramps, they're on the overpasses, they're on the main freeways, like right here, 26 coming over Washington Park. Traffic is moving along nicely, so give yourself a little extra time, you'll be all right. All right, good morning, everyone. Nick Bradshaw here. We've been looking at your time saver traffic all morning. The roads are kind of messy out there. The freeways are looking pretty good, but we've heard about some problems on Marine Drive, so we got Mike Warner headed up to the scene. Mike, what's it looking like out there?
Actually, not too bad. I can get a little bit of good news. They just opened Marine Drive. That's between Interlochen Road and I believe it was Frontage Road that was closed. It's now back open. The road, though, you can kind of see there's still a little bit of slush and icy snow in the middle and on the shoulder. So if you come this way, be real careful. But the road is now open.
All right, thank you, Mike. And that's kind of the story everywhere. It's spotty. The main roads are pretty clear, but those side roads still really treacherous. So be careful. All right, thank you, Joe. Nick Bradshaw here with your time saver traffic. We've been tracking all the things that are going on this morning. I want to give you a look at our time saver traffic map. Marine Drive has had some issues right around 223rd. They actually had it closed for a while. They just got it reopened, but the big issue here is ice on the on-ramps and on the off-ramps and on the side streets. So I want to give you a look at one of our cameras from the Portland Bureau of Transportation. This is right as you're heading over the Morrison Bridge. And as you can see, the sidewalks are also a big issue today. If you're riding your bike, if you're walking to work, that might be where you have some of the most problems this morning, but those side streets still really slick. Once you get on the freeways, it's pretty good. So again, just be careful today.
And Nick Bradshaw is giving us an update on that Marine Drive accident, Nick.
Yeah, guys, I'm looking at this on our system that we use to monitor these wrecks here, and so this is actually a little bit east of Marine Drive, but there's 7 units on scene, so obviously a pretty serious incident. They're calling it an injury accident, so Mike is headed that way, but we've been talking about Marine Drive, for the past half an hour. It's really kind of flared up as one of those trouble spots in our area. There was lots and lots of ice just east of this area, east of 205, and again, the big problem has been the on-ramps, the off-ramps, and the overpasses. The main drags have been mostly clear, but as traffic picks up this morning, some of our typical trouble spots and, some of the congestion that we have is only going to be exacerbated by the fact that we've got some slush on the roads, ice still left over from overnight. So we'll get Mike out to this crash at, about 33rd Marine Drive, avoid that area, and again, just be careful getting onto the freeways. And once you do, you'll be good.
Let's go to Nick Bradshaw, who's in the newsroom with a look at our road conditions. Nick?
Yeah, Deb, so I have an update for you guys on this wreck that we were talking about on Marine Drive. This is just east of 33rd Marine Drive. I just talked to Portland Fire. They tell me that they have a man who's pinned in his vehicle. It's a man in his 50s. They're not exactly sure his condition as far as injuries go, but we've been talking about Marine Drive up in this area and just east of that being super duper slick. Portland Fire tells me that they've responded to a bunch of incidents this morning. They're getting to folks just as soon as they can, and they're asking people to be patient, obviously use common sense. But let me give you a look at, why things are a little bit tricky out there. Take a look at our ODOT camera here. This is I-5 down at 99W and Tigard. And as you can see, the freeway's moving along nicely, but those are icicles that are on the camera. I've been watching them this morning, and they haven't really been melting at all. So the temperatures obviously out there are still pretty, cold to keep things slick. And it's those side roads that are really causing the issues here. This is I-84 as you're coming over 28th. And as you can see, just off the main strip there on the freeway, on the shoulder, there's still lots of slush and lots of ice. So if you have to, get off that main area, you're still going to get a little bit squirrely. And then one final look, 26 coming over Sylvan. The road's moving along smoothly, but again, getting onto 26, especially from Barnes and Burnside, bad idea. So be careful out there. Those side roads are still super slick.
We'll have to monitor that icicle cam.
Yeah. For the wide shot of our traffic situation, we have Nick Bradshaw at our assignment desk. The scanners are screaming behind you, so I'm guessing you're hearing quite a few situations that we need to know about.
Yeah, as the day starts ticking on, people are going to work, and that is making more congestion on the roads. There aren't huge incidents, which is good, but again, those side streets are still the most dangerous part. That Marine Drive incident that Mike was talking about, I talked to Portland Fire. They told me it was a 50-year-old man. It was a pin-in. There's still 6 units out there, so obviously they're still working to get that situation resolved. I don't have an update on his injuries, but I'm expecting a call back. And like Mike said, Marine Drive, super icy. I want to give you a look right now, though, at what it looks like and kind of some of the other parts of the area. If you're headed to town this morning, or you're headed to work and you're going to walk or ride your bike, take a look at our camera here on the Morrison Bridge, and you can see the sidewalks are still super slick. So especially going over the bridges, if you're riding your bike, take extra caution. I'd probably get off and walk, but again, I'm kind of a weenie like that.
Yeah, we know you all too well. All right.
But next camera we'll show is 26 at Murray. Again, the freeways are really good, but if you get off to the side at all, if you have to avoid any sort of debris or anything, you're really going to face some tricky situations because there's ice and snow still on the side there. And then coming in from Vancouver over Interstate Bridge, really no problems at all. So at least that part of the commute is good, but be really careful getting to those freeways.
All right, Nick, thanks very much. Let's talk to Nick Bradshaw, working the assignment desk, working the traffic situation. Complicated for a lot of people, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a busy morning in one regard, but then it's also been an actually decent commute if you make it onto the freeways. So the side streets are really the biggest problem right now. Take a look at our time saver traffic map. We've been telling you, Barnes Road up by Burnside, a terrible mess. There's cars still strewn about the side of the road, so avoid that area. Marine Drive has also been a big area of concern. We got Mike up there, as he's been telling you about, but I just talked to Oregon State Police, who told me that I-84 from Troutdale all the way to Hood River, really, really icy. They're saying it's a big mess out there. We're hopefully to talk to him pretty soon here, but I'm going to give you kind of a look at how things are looking, and this has kind of been our measure of the morning this morning. If you take a look at our traffic cameras, this is 4th at Lincoln downtown. I've been watching these icicles, and they haven't really been changing at all, so I would think if it's going to get warmer, those things are going to go down a little bit, but that just kind of shows you that it's still really cold out there. You can see some of that standing slush on there. And then if you go on the east side, Foster at Holgate, this is kind of cleared up a little bit, but you can see in the middle of the road and in the lanes a little bit, we still have some of that ice, some of that slush. Sidewalks are still really slippery. And then I'll show you our favorite icicle at this point, Tigard, 99 at I-5, still really no change there. So it's pretty slick out there, but if you're on the main roads, not a lot of traffic, so you'll be able to get to where you're going pretty quick once you get on the freeway.
Well, if they stay there long enough, those icicles, we're going to name them. I think we probably should.
I think Nick can work on that.
I'm
sure he'll have names for them as soon as we go back to him.
Boy, those mid-40s are going to feel warm and great.
Balmy.
Joe, thanks.
We'll enjoy the rain,
Yeah.
right, when it's in the mid-40s. Let's go to the newsroom where K2's Nick Bradshaw is standing by, monitoring the roads. Have you named the icicles yet?
I have not named the icicles yet, but I'm still watching them, and still no change. But I want to take you to our time saver traffic map and kind of reiterate what we just heard from Oregon State Police a few minutes ago, because it's been kind of the biggest shift of the morning. So they're telling us now that chains are required starting at Troutdale on I-84 all the way to Hood River. We've been saying all morning that the freeways, for the most part, have been pretty clear, which they have been. It's just been wet pavement, but this has been kind of the biggest shift. I want to give you a look at our live ODOT cameras out there, and I'm just going to kind of walk you backwards from there just so you can kind of see how the conditions worsen. So if we're looking at this right now, this is at 257th, which is right at Troutdale. You can see all these cars pulled off to the side. I'm not sure if that's because they're seeing reader boards about chaining up or whatnot, but not a lot of traffic coming this way. And if we walk back to the Marine Drive exit, you can still see a lot lots of icy conditions on the road. We'll get to 238th, still kind of a mess out there. Walk it back. We're at 223rd, icy winter wonderland, and then take a look. 207th, still icy, and then you get all the way to 101st. That's when the pavement becomes just kind of wet, which we're seeing on the freeways around the rest of the metro area. So I-84 has really kind of made a shift in the past hour or so to get really nasty out there. And as we heard from Oregon State Police, chains now required or traction tires from Troutdale all the way to Hood River. So if you're headed out that way, I would advise against it. And if you have to go, be very, very careful.
And be prepared with those chains or traction tires. Nick, thanks.
Yeah, Nick, thank you. Our Storm Tracker, our assignment manager, Nick Bradshaw's assignment today is to be on traffic duty. What a day to do it, Nick. Busy.
Hey, we're making it happen. No worries. You know, it's been a busy morning, which makes the day fly right by. But, you know, I want to show you our time saver traffic map and tell you right now the biggest main issue we have right now. We just heard from OSP a little while ago that chains are now required at Troutdale on I-84 all the way to Hood River. So, you know, all morning I've been talking about how the main freeways have been pretty clear, which they have. You know, it's been mostly wet pavement, but out that direction, as you can see people lining up on the side of the freeway, it's just getting nasty out there. So either chains or traction tires required all the way from Troutdale to Hood River. So I'll give you a look at you know, some of the other conditions that we have out here. This is what I was just talking about. That's at 257th, which is Troutdale. So busy. I would avoid that area altogether. And then I want to take it down to the other guys that we've been talking about. This is I-5 at Barber, and we've been talking about these two icicles, monitoring them, seeing if they change at all. They have not, but I have come up with a name for them. I'm thinking Derek and Gary would be the most fitting names here. So right now, that's what it's looking like.
Derek and Gary. Creative?
I think it was a little too easy for him, right?
I think so. You just
But the
pick some
roads-
random names.
The good thing is, if you can see beyond the icicles, the roads seem to
looking
be
better on those
improving.
freeways.
Let's check out some other road conditions. Nick Bradshaw's in the newsroom monitoring that. Nick?
Oh, hello, guys. All right, so we've been monitoring everything. It's been changing a little bit. The side streets have really been the big story this morning, getting things, you know, pretty icy out there. But take a look at our time saver traffic map. Like we've been telling you, Barnes Road still super slippery. Wesley says it's thawing out a little bit, but Marine Drive still a big problem. And then if I can advance this map, hopefully it'll work here. Like Brian just said, chains required from Troutdale all the way to Hood River. If your vehicle is under 10,000 pounds, just for perspective, a Honda Accord is about 4,300 pounds, so that'll give you an idea if you don't know how much a car weighs.
About.
But real quickly, we'll take a look at one of our ODOT cameras here, and this is how the inbound in-town freeways look. Pretty good.
I love the knowledge that you have, Nick.
Yeah, you went out and measured the Accord. We got a couple of them sitting out there in the car right now. It's science. What do you say? Speaking of science, Joe.